It's easy to forget that large-scale building projects are incredibly complicated and can on occasion go terribly wrong, from designs that never made it out of the planning stage to ones that face serious headwinds. It's time to hold on to your hard hats as we take a look at the most failed projects in the United States. But first, don't forget to share the video and subscribe to the channel. Famous for being the largest machine and installation ever made by man, this force was born that was able to solve the riddle of physics. This has baffled researchers for decades, but it wasn't the only super collision planned if things went differently. The prizes could have been obtained through a facility in Texas known as the Superconducting Collider or the Desert Collider. Congress approved the full budget for the construction of a 54-mile circular tunnel. In fact, work began in the late 1980s and early 1990s, excavating 17 access holes and 14.6 miles of tunnels. She was already bored, but the 1993 funding of other projects had spectacularly been cancelled by the time this happened. $2 billion have already been spent on the collider. In the end, all this work was a complete waste, because there was no alternative use of what was already created. In the following years, there have been a number of attempts to sell the property, which is something that has been pushed back many times by illegal parties and criminals. The activities took place in buildings and tunnels, but it would take 20 years for a buyer to be found and sold at a fraction of the price it cost to build. Now the site is owned by a chemical company that produces oilfield products. It simply uses extensive tunnel networks to store sensitive materials. It consists of many huge and impressive structures along the strip. It takes on a truly unique design for anything that stands out in Las Vegas. This pushed developers to be more creative than ever. This doesn't always work for the better, but as was the case with the Dara Hotel and Resort, which opened in 2009. It is described as a 1.6 million square feet or 150,000 square meter spa hotel and spa. It was a collaborative effort between MGM's global complexes and the development of Infinity World, which offers 1,495 suites on 57 floors, a massive spa pool and deck area. It's just one of two places in the downtown area that don't have any designated gambling space. This wasn't the only unusual thing about it. But the architects chose a concave design for the building and used a large amount of glass to give it a modern feel. But they failed to take one thing into account. With the scorching Nevada sun, it soon became apparent that the structure began to function as a mirror assembly that reflected and focused the sun's heat, eventually causing dangerously high temperatures around the pool area at great cost. All windows had to be covered with non-reflective film and large blue awnings placed over the entire pool deck to provide a respite from the heat. This is not a complete solution, although if you visit the hotel pool, soon you'll start to notice how warm it is than anywhere else. The Hyatt Regency in Kansas City has been rated the most luxurious property in the city and is 40 stories high. Despite the many setbacks in its design and construction, it has a large lobby with a multi-story lobby with steel, glass and concrete corridors hanging from the ceiling. It sure wasn't like anything else anyone had seen at the time. But it turns out that the design has gone too far. Each runway was 120 feet or 37 meters long and weighed about 64,000 pounds or 29,000 kilograms without being used by anyone. For some reason, the fourth-level corridor was placed right above him. This second level proved to be a huge mistake in July of 1981 when 600 people gathered around the ground floor of the lobby for a tea dance party. The fourth-floor corridor heard a series of popping sounds that landed on the platform a few inches at first and then collapsed completely. She took the second tier with her in the process, leaving 114 missing and 216 wounded. This is not only due to poor design but inadequate emergency response measures that have led to a high death toll. One example of this event remains the deadliest unintended structural failure in U.S. history. Student design is still studied today as an example of how mistakes can happen. In 1988, Trump seemed tired of using his private jet to travel everywhere, so he decided to buy an airline. Like many of his other options, he bought Eastern Air, which was already struggling with its competitors. Trump put his name on the company and began celebrating the start of the company in its new form. Insisting that his name was a luxury brand, he radically redesigned the airline's aircraft. The plane has undergone major changes such as leather seats and luxurious meals, plus 3 drinks per flight, although the company's average flight time was just 45 minutes. In addition, Trump added marble sinks and thick curtains for planes, and changed the dress code for airline flight attendants. Trump's bid was damaged when one of his planes made an emergency landing less than a year after he bought the company. And the fact that the accident nearly killed everyone on the plane didn't stop him from trying to market using the accident. Things did not go so well, of course, with strong competition from other companies. Trump Airlines lost $128 million in just a year and a half. He soon found himself forced to sell the company. In 2005 he launched a university called Trump University, which specializes in real estate marketing and real estate marketing, in addition to the business sector. But despite its name, it wasn't actually a university in the first place, awarding students any certificates, degrees, or even assessment. In fact, it was more like the volunteer courses offered by a for-profit educational company. The name was just a commercial marketing name and nothing more, as the university was not licensed to be a university in the first place. University life was very short. In less than 5 years, it closed its doors. With it closed, several lawsuits were filed against him related to the false promises she had made, and even adopting violent marketing policies, especially for groups that are more likely to fall into the trap of deception in the name of the company. Then the lawsuits against him were settled for more than $25 million. There are a lot of failed projects in the United States. If you like the video, click like and write to us in the comments, so we can work on the second part of failed projects in the United States. In your opinion, are there new failed projects in the US for 2022? Here we come to the end of the video. Don't forget to share the video and subscribe to the channel.